You don't get the show.
For our last story, and I'm gonna let you take this one since you know more about us, because I first saw this on Reddit, where I just get half of my stories anyway.
Yeah.
But it talked about how IGN was plagiarizing, and it's funny because it makes me think about this thing where there's a guy who had recorded I think okay, in Family Guy there's an episode where there's a little spot where the guy's playing Tepco Bowl, and he's playing with Barry Sanders. Oh no, Bo Jackson, and he gets the ball and he's running around. It shows a trick in the old Tepco Bowl where you basically could get the ball, run.
Oh, we had the hiccup.
All the way back to your end of the field. Yeah, I saw the freeze again, and then you can see the whole swerving and past the defense to get all the way to the end, and you scored a touchdown. So basically, it was kind of like a joke about how you could run around with Bo Jackson and own everybody. Well, the funny thing is that after that showed on Family Guy, the original guy's YouTube video got flagged for copyright infringement. Because they're saying he stole from Family Guy. And it's like, no, Family Guy took his video, put it on their show. Yeah. Well, this ain't that. So I'll let Reddy tell us what happened.
So the way that I essentially found out the video is, I follow IGN and all that. So this game editor from IGN, whose name is Philip Mewson, he ran their Nintendo, I think it was called NVC. I think it's a Nintendo Video Chat. It's a podcast that they have. And this is when Dead Cells came out. And he did a review and all that. And I watched the review and I was like, damn, that was actually a pretty good review and this and that. I've been playing Dead Cells. If you have not been playing it, holy crap, go out there and get that game. Because it is, as they call the Metroidvania type of a thing, where it essentially randomly creates the level every time you run through it. It is a very difficult game, but not Dark Souls type difficult, enough to have you play through and you're like, damn, that was so fuck, I can't believe I died. And you lose everything that you go through, but as you go through the levels, you collect these souls or cells that when you get to the end of the level, you can use it to purchase upgrades that become permanent unlocks. So as you go playing through the game, it gets easier and easier for you to go through. So it's a really, really cool, really well done. I have to give the game studio, I can't remember the name. I can't remember the name of the group that does it. Anyways, either way, they did an amazing job. I've been playing that game since early access because I had heard about it. And from where it was at early access to where it is now, completely different game, but so amazing. Anyways, so I look at this thing, and then all of a sudden, I see this video pop up in my home feed of YouTube that it was the guy that did the original review for Dead Cells saying IGN stole my review. And in the video was this small YouTube channel that the guy was oh, hey, I'm going through here. I noticed this video came out from IGN, and it's almost a direct copy for my video. And I look through, and sure enough, he goes and compares the his video review with the video review that this guy put up. And to the point where you can see early on he kind of switches the wording around, but it's the same meaning, to full on word for word what this guy did in his review is what's in Philip's review. So the channel that he pulled it from is this one called Boomstick Game. But even to the point where not just word for word, literally time stamped in the video, exact same timestamp, same pacing, and all this. So he puts this up on Reddit, and sure enough, you know how the internet works, boom, it gets back to IGN. So right away, literally same day that IGN put this review out, they pulled it and said, hey, we've seen that this has happened, and we're going to go ahead and review this. And if anybody that's followed IGN before in the past, there's been people that they've called them out on other reviewers, plagiarizing stuff and blah, 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 blah. So like they took this very, very seriously. Like I have to give it to IGN that they took it so seriously that they were like, boop, we're pulling the video, we're gonna investigate it, we'll get back. A day later, like this is how much they freaking reviewed it. A day later, they're like, hey, so yep, we pulled this review. Yep, we found that there's enough evidence that shows that it's plagiarized, and we actually have parted ways with this guy. AKA they fucking fired his ass.
Yeah.
You know? So then that sits there and goes out, and a couple of days later, and this is where the story really got interesting, is on his own personal YouTube channel, he released an apology video. And I sat there and I watched that video. And what's really fucked up about the apology video is, and the reason why I said apology is when you look through that video, he does not apologize. He kind of addresses like, hey, like there were these like circumstances where it kind of came out, and you know what? I was the lead editor on this thing, so if these guys sat there and did it, ultimately it's my responsibility. Right away, oh, I didn't actually write it. It was other people. I should have caught this. All right. Then when he goes on to his like, hey, I want to apologize to IGN because, yep, you know what? I should have caught this and blah, blah, blah. I apologize to the people that made the game because like they deserve better for this. And then he kind of says, and like when it comes to boomstick gaming, like, hey, like, you know, I remember what it was like when I was little and blah, 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 blah. And he goes on, he never apologizes and kind of like spins it of like, hey, thanks to me, your channel's going to get a whole mess more like things to it. Yeah. And like you watch through this whole thing and it's like, dude, like own up to it. Say, yep, I did it. Yep, I got caught. And I'm sorry. Didn't do that. On top of that, then he starts poking fun at one of Kotaku's editors, calling him out and saying like, oh, this, because like when you look at the Kotaku article, like the guy basically says like, hey, like I started looking back and I found one of his earlier reviews, kind of same thing that he did with it. So he sits there and he's like, oh, this guy's like trying to do the whole like kick a guy while he's down. You know what? I challenge him to find, or I challenge anybody to find other spots where I've plagiarized and all that, because you're not going to find it. Ho, big mistake there, Philip.
Yeah, number one rule, don't fuck with the internet.
Yeah. Don't fuck with the internet. Don't poke the bear in the cage, because guess what? That motherfucker going to break through the cage. And who did the bear break through the cage? Let me tell you. So right away, after he put this video up, I mean, if you, like, he literally took the video down. This is what's fun. I was going through and reading the comments that people were leaving, and let me tell you, internet, you guys fucking like gave the perfect, like literally almost every single comment is, oh my god, like how do you write an apology video and never actually apologize? Boop. Like all these comments. And then the other thing that was really, really fucking funny is, and you have to give it to the internet as well, every single video that IGN pumped out after, you always had that one comment of like, so which gaming website did you guys plagiarize this from?
Yeah.
You have to love the internet. Anyways. So it was like to the point where like there's this one guy that like worked, I guess I could, knew him as a friend. And his comment was like, dude, honestly, if I were you, take this video down because this video is going to do more harm to you than good. And then like I followed some of this guy's videos to the point where afterwards he was like, yo, I'm disgusted that, I supported this guy as much as I did once I've seen the real thing. Like, of course, he sits there and go ahead and find other stuff that I've plagiarized. Bro, here started coming out, boop, 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 every single thing, like his FIFA 18 review, his like his Fire Emblem preview, like all these different things just started boom, 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 popping up. And of course, ever since then, you haven't heard hide or hint from his ass. And it got to the point where IGN even updated further their thing saying, hey, not only did we pull this dude's dead cells, but we're literally going to pull every single review that he ever did, and we're going to go on a one-by-one basis and compare them, and whatever isn't plagiarized, then we'll go ahead and put it back up. And let's just say it's been about a week, and not a single one of those reviews has come back up. And I think, like, one of the things when it comes down to it is... And you have to love the internet for how they do it. It's like, this is like the dude that took a college class and had to write a report on a book and like found somebody else's and said, the professor's not going to check. I'm just going to copy it and turn it in as my own work.
Yeah, they didn't even try and like put their own little words on it, twist it around a little, try to make it their... Nah, they're just like straight copy pasta.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's funny because if you look at like other outlets, like the these guys that they were in IGN, that they used to do the totally uninformed game show. I forgot the name of them right now, but like they've even poked out, like they're like, the thing about this whole thing that when you look at it as fucked up is typical thing that kind of happens nowadays. You do something, you get caught. If you apologize, especially like if you're in a really like open forum like that, you get caught. You have two options. You own up to it and say, you know what, I fucked up, I'm sorry. Or you try and do what this guy did, which is like, kind of push it all to one side and be like, no, like I didn't really do it, and hope that more shit don't come out. He done fucked it up the moment he was like, I challenge anybody to go out there and find other stuff. Because there you just opened up the floodgates.
Yeah.
Because then the microscope comes out and they're going to go in. Like, here comes the freaking the otoscope that's going up the butt. It's going to find every little thing that's wrong in there. But it's one of those things, like, I feel if he would have come out and said, hey, yeah, I did it. I screwed it up and this and that. I'm sorry. People will be willing to be more forgiving than if he did what he did. And these guys pointed it out like, hey, you know what? You screwed up. You didn't apologize for it. You opened up the challenge to find it, and now they've done it. Guess what? You're never going to work in the game industry in reporting ever again. Ever again. Because the moment they're like, what's your name? Fill them out. Oh, yeah, you're the dude that did this. That's it. You're done. You're done. So, like, the big thing about it is, in looking at it, the positives that came out of this is, hey, this dude from Boomstick Gaming went from 10,000 subscribers to 40,000 subscribers overnight. So that dude's going to, like, get at least more out there. And my whole big thing of, like, the whole thing is that in the end, he's going to get something out of it. Like, whether it be like, hey, I'm now an editor for some sort of game website or gaming thing, like, that would be amazing. And I mean, if you sit there and you look at it, it's like this dude ruined his entire career just by, getting caught plagiarizing, and that's it. It's like, all you kids out there in internet land, you think you're going to college and like, I'm going to do this. You don't think you're going to get caught. You're going to get caught.
Yeah. I've seen people who've done that with reports, and the professor puts it on that little thing that scans and see if someone else did it, and the person just straight copied it, and then you're asked out. You got no recourse. You're just done. And like I said, the problem with these like non-real fake apologies, people are too used to that. First of all, we've seen it from politicians, celebrities, rich people. So when you start seeing people just copy that same thing where they're not apologizing, but then try and like attack other people in their so-called apology, people ain't going to put up with that. And then you throw in a challenge too. Wow. That's just, you just kept throwing strikes, just strike, yeah. And now you're out.
Yeah, I love it. So he posted a video, response on YouTube saying that any Dead Cells plagiarism had been not at all intentional and suggesting that he had not done this sort of thing before. He puts, you can keep looking, Kotaku, and please let me know if you find anything. Oh, yeah, the internet obliged. Let me tell you.
And that's the craziest thing about this is that, look, there's like, because I was reading the Reddit version of this, and it's funny because you always have these people that come in and they just, it seems like their whole goal is to try and just be counter. So if everyone is saying, yeah, this guy was wrong and he did plagiarize, there's always that guy who comes out. It's kind of like what the guy said in his reply, that, oh well, at least this guy that wasn't that famous is famous now. That doesn't mean anything. It's like, if you put in your work, especially when you're a tiny channel, and trust us, we know we're a tiny channel. If someone steals your tiny channel work, that hurts more than if you're big. If we're gigantic, we're still going to protect our IP, but at least it's like, well, we're big, we know that people are going to do this stuff. But man, when people are stealing your work and you're just trying to get hits and views and subs, you really are going to be like, really, guys, really? And then this guy's done it over and over, because you have to put in work no matter what anyone thinks of this business. You have to put in work. You have to look stories up. You have to think of what to say. You got to do editing. You got people who are doing video gameplays. They usually don't just plug in and play. They usually play a few times through so it looks good on stream. You put your time in, especially for reviews. And for someone to come behind and they're getting paid for this too, to just steal your work, it's like, really, dude?
And that's
really?
the thing. That's the thing that they like talk about in IGN. How like they basically, if you get assigned a game, it's your job. Like their ideal thing is you play the game from beginning to end, just one time, just to see what the game is, and then you play the game, and then that's where you get the video clips that you put into your review, and then you write your review, and that's how you do it. So they're doing this. So I'm pretty sure like they get early copies of the games. They have time to like go through and be like, all right, I'm gonna play from A to Z. And that was the thing that like what's funny is the guy that after him put out the review for Dead Cells was a person that in the IGN office put something like 300 to 400 hours into Dead Cells. And like when he's like, yeah, I've played the game a bit, it's been about 300 to 400 hours. Like literally all these other people went, damn, like they were looking at him like, oh, so you've played this game. And he's like, yeah, I've been playing it for a good bit. And like his review, like a complete 180 than for what this guy did. And he goes into and he talks about like the game is like this, it's awesome for this, it's bad for this. Like he goes into this like all little detail. Now the thing that I laugh at here is in this article that you linked here, the lengthy list of allegations against Musin now includes a Bayonetta 2 review that drew from Polygon, another smaller channel, a video that took word for word from a NeoGAF post, and a number of videos in which Musin reads excerpts from Wikipedia about topics like Super Mario Odyssey and Shantae Half Genie Hero as if he had written them. The list even includes an Octopath Traveler article that copied from one of his own IGN colleagues' reviews, much to that writer's dismay. Wow. And then tipsters have pointed me to dozens of instances in which Musin took directly from other sources, some of which are rounded up here and it has a link. Even his LinkedIn resume is copied from a job template website. And I was like, dude, like, Philip, if you're out there, dude, you did this to yourself. You opened the floodgates, and you needed to know that this shit was going to happen. And it's sad because, like, of course, now, ever since he took down that video, of course, all these media outlets are reaching out to him like, hey, like, let's do an interview. Give us your side of the story. Bub kiss from him. And, like, what's sad is, like, I've followed, like, some of the tweets that some of these other, like, IGN employees that worked with him and all that. And, like, of course, they're like, you know, completely devastated, like decently disappointed, upset that it's looking more and more likely that we unwittingly hosted work that was directly lifted from, or at best heavily derived from others. You know, I assure you are taking very active steps to remove it all and make it right. I feel betrayed, which is true. If he basically portrayed this shit as his own work, and it's like he lifted the whole thing. And like the thing about looking at how it is, it's like he took it from these smaller YouTube channels and things like that, thinking nobody's ever going to know this. And it's like you have to like know that eventually somebody is going to do it. Yeah. Especially if one of these smaller YouTube channels follows a channel like IGN and then watches the review and goes, that sounds familiar. Like, and here's the kicker about it. People can sit there and say like, oh, it was like they came out around the same time. Like, let's say using this and that. They came out around the same time. Maybe they had the same wording, kind of, sort of. No. The Boomstick Gaming review came out a week before the IGN video. So it's not like, hey, he was writing this and release it, and you can sit there and be like, it kind of sort of the same because, hey, they could have had the same opinion. No. This shit was fucking like cut and paste. And I look at it from like our point of view. Like, we do this show and we have our own opinions and all that. And I've seen reviews for Dead Cells. I've been playing Dead Cells, and I can sit there and tell you, I think it's a phenomenal game. It hits all the right points that it needs to for a game to be compelling, to bring you back to it. And the thing that I like about it is, like, you go through that game and it's like, damn, that was hard. But you get enough cells that you start unlocking stuff. And then you go through it again and you're like, oh, it was a bit easier this time around. And you collect more cells and you unlock more stuff. And then it gets to a point where you're like, all right, cool. Like, I can keep going further. Because like what I really liked about the Dead Cells game is it has that itch for people that like the Symphony of the Night and all that, of like, I want to upgrade my character as I go along. But it also has a neat little thing for people that love the challenge of like the speed run, because there's doors in each of the level that will stay open up to a specific amount of time. And then it locks. And the cool thing is if you're running through and you get to that door and it's locked, it'll sit there and tell you, hey, this door locked X amount of time ago. So you can see like, oh, it locked a minute ago. You see how long you've been playing and you're like, oh, I've been running around for 7 minutes. This thing locks at 6 minutes. So then you could sit there and like, once you've upgraded a bit, be like, all right, I'm shooting for that 6 minute door. And you just start hauling ass through the level just to get to that door. Because that's the other thing is, if you actually get into one of those doors, it'll give you like, it'll reward you with like a whole bunch of like cells, a whole like a powerful weapon, or maybe a blueprint for a powerful weapon, like stuff like that. It unlocks in the game. So it gives you that incentive to do that speed run as well. So it's just like such a like neat thing. And like from playing it from early access to now, what's really nice between the retail releases, they've added a bunch of little cool like story element stuff to it, which is neat. But like hands down, really good, really good review, or a really good game. I highly suggest like looking at the new IGN review, because like you could tell that guy just like loved every minute of the game. And it's something that another thing that I use that I look at as far as when I look at reviews is you can tell how good a game is by even watching other things that IGN does, like their podcast, and then they'll bring up Dead Cells and they're like, oh yeah, everybody in the office has been playing it. Like, you know, it's a good game if these people had work to do and they're freaking playing this game because it's so good of a game.
Yeah.
You know? But it's just great. And if you want to sit there and see a awkward moment, yeah, watch the podcast, the Nintendo Video Chat podcast, the one right after they fired his ass, that they had a new host that he's just like, hey, so welcome to the show. As you can tell, I'm not your normal host. Like, it is just the most awkward thing of this dude looking straight at the camera and be like, so as you guys know, some stuff has happened. It's freaking internet gold, let me tell you.
Well, that's one of the things. It's like, if you're going to do any type of thing with YouTube, or starting out as a website or anything, any type of channel or thing that you're trying to do, you have to care about it. Yeah. And I'm part of a group that works with like smaller YouTube channels, and new people are new to YouTube. And one of the things that they always say, which, may sound cliche, but you got to love it, because, man, the chances of you actually having some like gigantic channel with millions of hits and money is extremely slow and low. And if you think that's going to happen quick, it also probably isn't going to happen. So you really got to like to do it. It's like, I knew long time ago when we started Obsolete Gamer that long format interviews and even talk shows aren't as popular as a lot of other things. And that's why you can see certain channels will almost have like a flavor or a style, and you'll see that works because people like that style. But I said I like doing this style, And by that, you understand that you're probably not going to have tons of people, but you like the people that you do get, and then you take the time to put in on the things that you like. Because yeah, sure, I could take the same amount of time that we do in these shows to do like gaming reviews, which would probably get higher hits and views, but that's not my thing. Like, I'm not great at the video game review. I love video games. I play a lot of them. I can give you information about it, but for people, some people really like specific things when they listen to review. So leave that to them. I don't understand how someone says, "Hey, I'm going to work for IGN. They have this standard of reviews, this standard of quality, and I should love gaming. I'm doing this, but no, I'm going to copy instead." Like, to me, that makes any sense. It's like saying, "Oh, I love writing. I love books," and then you steal someone else's book. Or I love filmmaking. You steal someone else's film. Like, that's not how it works. So that's why people like that I don't have any sympathy for, because there's millions of us out there who love our work, love what we do, and we fight every day. And we know that we're probably never going to make any money or not any serious money, but we do it anyway. So you take pride in being the little guy, because you never know. Maybe someday someone will steal your shit, and then you'll get get more popular.
You get 20,000 subscribers just like that. Like, come on, somebody plagiarize this show, please do it. But it's like, I know we've been like going forever on this thing, but like the thing about it is, like, before I started doing this with you, because I remember like we communicated every so often. We would chat through, whether it be BlizzardNet or whatever. And I remember you used to do this with Ignacio before, and you were like, our schedules are always conflicting, so it's hard to get us to get together and da-da-da. And like, he loves doing the gameplay videos on the Obsolete Gamer channel. And you were saying, like, yeah, he always just records whatever he's playing and then throws it up and records whatever. And like, that's his passion of like, I like doing this, and he puts it up there. And in reality, it's not a game review and all that. And that's the big thing, is like, there's people that love to do that, and there's people that'll get a ton of views doing that. Like, honestly, I think if Ignacio were to not only record what he does, if he were to stream, given enough time, he'd probably have a good following of people.
Yes, especially that game, which isn't as popular, but he's good at it. Yeah.
Like, you'll get people. It's amazing. You know, and like, and that was the thing. I remember like the first time you were like, "Hey, you want to come like try this out?" And I'm like, "Fuck it, let's do it." You know, and that was when I was doing on my own channel, like the board game reviews and all that. And like, the thing about it is like, I liked doing it. I liked giving my opinion on it. My only thing is like, it was just so hard to like get the time to be like, okay, I'm going to film it. Okay, I'm going to edit it, and this and this and that. And I'm like, I'm okay at editing. I'm not great at it. So that was another thing that was just like, I like doing it. It's just like, I wish I could do it better, you know? Which, like, this outlet of doing this, like, I'm at the point where I want to be able to copy the videos off on my channel as well, just to add them in there. So at least my channel as well gets some kind of like thing to like pull people over into the Obsolete Gamer one as well. And it's just like, man, you got to find the time to do it. And it's like, you got to do it as a passion thing. You know, that's what pretty much all the big YouTubers out there have said. Like, you got to do it as a passion thing. You got to do it. You can't go into it thinking, I'm going to make $500,000 a month. No. Shit ain't going to happen. Ask Ninja when he first started how it went. He's going to tell you it sucked ass. But from him grinding and doing it, and that was his passion, and blah, 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 like, look at where he is now. It took him years to do it. Same thing with Dr. Disrespect. Dr. Disrespect didn't come out of nowhere from 0 followers to the millions of followers that he has. He's put the work into it, you know? And that's the thing, is like, you have to do it as a passion project. Like, I love all the stuff that I did with the reviews. I love coming on and doing this show with you and doing the inappropriate questions and doing Geek Salad. And like, if you look at it, we came up with Geek Salad as a side thing of like, let's do this other show. Let's do this other show. Like, I love doing this shit. It's just such the real life gets in the way for us. Sometimes we can't record as much as we can, but it's so much fun to do. Yeah, that's what I love doing. Like, I'm glad we started doing this, because this has been fun as hell doing this.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we're also glad for the people that do listen to our show, because yeah, we're not big, we're not huge or anything like that, but the people that like us, and we like you. So we hope that you'll continue to listen to our entire Obsolete Network gallery of shows. But I mean, yeah, don't plagiarize because the internet will
Don't
come
do it.
after you.
No, don't plagiarize, and don't challenge people to find your plagiarized work. You know, because they will find your shit. It's like murdering somebody and you got away with it a couple times and then you got caught. And you said, no, I've never done this before. I challenge anybody to find me that I killed somebody else. And they're like, oh, we go find it.
Especially in the back of your head, you know it. You know, like that's why I never understand about politicians, where a politician know they've done all this bad shit, and then they go on TV and be like, well, you know, I've never done this before. This was a one-time thing, and I'm really sorry. And the next thing you know, it's like another story, another story, another story. It's like, bro, you knew you did this shit. If anything, you should have went on TV and just been like, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna disappear now. Goodbye. And then maybe they'd leave you alone. But man, don't challenge the internet, man.
Yeah,
Don't.
dude. Yeah.